Hello and welcome to this week's BizSmart Lunch and Learn webinar. Our weekly webinars are aimed to provide advice and share knowledge with business owners, and this is part of our service to our Smart Room members. If you're not already a member or a BizSmart client and would like to access our archive of webinars, then please do visit our website, biz-smart.co.uk, and go to the Smart Room page. Our host joining me today is BizSmart Select member Liz Painter. But before we start the webinar, can I ask you all to use the question mark function on your screen to post any questions that you may have for Liz, and she will answer them all at the end of the session. Thank you, Liz. Over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz. I'm going to talk today about how you can win more customers by taking action every day in your business. I'm often out and about at networking events. As a copywriter, people quite often talk to me about their marketing. And because I tend to talk about emailing and sending sales letters and this kind of thing, and people say to me, oh yeah, I tried email marketing, but it didn't work for me. Or they might say, we sent a sales letter out once and we didn't win any customers. And what I always say to them is, trying something once isn't always going to be a good test of whether it's effective. You need to be consistent in your marketing. You need to take action over and over again every day in your business to build relationships over time, and then you can find out what works for you. Sending a couple of emails out isn't necessarily going to get you a good response. It's that sending the emails out week in, week out that builds the relationships and helps you win more customers. And the same with a sales letter. Just sending a sales letter once and then perhaps not following up, or only following up by phone once, or perhaps sending out one postcard and then leaving it, you're not necessarily going to get a good reaction to that. It's about staying in touch with those people. You've sent them a sales letter, so presumably you want to work with them. So it's staying in touch over time, and when they're ready to buy, you're still in touch and you're still communicating with them. The way a lot of people run their business is it's a bit of a roller coaster. So they'll do a lot of sales and marketing activity. They'll win lots of work into the business, and whether you're in business on your own or whether you've got a small team, you'll bring in all this work and you'll be so busy delivering this client work that some of the sales and marketing activities you should be doing are not happening. And then what will happen is people are coming to the end of a project and they think, oh, actually, we don't have enough work in. We better start doing some more sales and marketing activities. And off they go back up on the upward bit of the roller coaster, generating more work. And then they peak out again, too much work on, haven't got time to do the marketing, and back down the curve. And I'm really passionate about helping people to avoid that, because it makes running a business really, really stressful, and it doesn't need to be that stressful. I liken it to getting fit. This is me and my family on Snowdon earlier in the year. At the time we were doing this walk, I was sort of in the middle of a goal I'd set myself to run 50 park runs. If you're not aware of what park run is, it's a regular race, well, not a race, a timed run, that's held in parks all over the country, actually all over the world, every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. And when you've done 50 of these, you get a nice red t-shirt with a 50 on it. And I set myself that goal to do that by the time I turned 40, which was just this month. But unfortunately on Snowdon, I fell off a path and I injured myself. I hurt my knee and my ankle, and that really jeopardised my goal. Because I was really keen to hit this goal, I wanted to be 40 and feel fit and healthy, not feel like I wasn't. So I immediately went to a physio. He gave me daily exercises to do. I started doing a run-walk program, just sort of running a little bit, walking a bit, and gradually upping the amount of running that I did until I could run consistently. And it took 8 weeks of daily ankle exercises, doing knee exercises every other day, doing it consistently. And I think it was the end of July I did my first park run again after the injury. So it was 2 months I was out of action. But it would have been a lot longer if I hadn't done those daily activities and those weekly activities to just get back the strength in my knee and my ankle and get back to fitness. And it's exactly the same in a business. If you don't take those daily actions, those weekly actions, it's going to take you a lot longer to grow your business and to build up your customer base. And this is how a lot of people work. So they do just enough to keep the business at a kind of a survival level, or maybe slightly higher. And then as they get to that point, they maybe ease off on some of the marketing activities, and so they head back down again. And then once again, they do a bit more and they go up. And actually, if you just keep doing the stuff that gets you up to the survival level, keep doing it over and over and over, even when things are going okay, you're going to hit that sort of massive success that I'm sure we're all after in our business, and take away that kind of roller coaster ride feeling. Because what happens is you know the stuff that works in your business, you know the activities that generate work, the stuff that brings in customers, but you just have to keep doing them every day. Obviously, you might want to test out new things. You might want to try new marketing activities that you've not done before. If you've never sent out sales letters, that's something you could try. It may be that you don't want a huge business, but you just want a level of security. You just want the business to be consistent and not to be all over the place. And you sort of step off that business roller coaster. So it's all about working out what the things are you need to do consistently. It might be that for you, it works really well to follow up with people by phone. So you might set yourself the target of making 3 phone calls every day. And just building it up on a consistent basis, you get a momentum going. It wouldn't be the same, say, if you said to yourself, right, I'm going to make 15 phone calls on Monday and then do nothing all week. It doesn't build momentum in the same way. It's really helpful if you can. Obviously, you're not always going to be able to, but to make it a daily thing that you do. Whereas if you're doing the things if you're doing the wrong things, or if you're not doing the things you should be doing, you're going to be on this downward curve that you can see on the slide. And it's not just business, it's everything. It's healthy eating, it's spending time with your family. If you're not doing the right things, you're going to be affecting the relationships in your life, you're going to be affecting your finances, you're going to be affecting your health. So it's all about doing these things daily. Going back to marketing, one of the things I do is coach people to consistently do email marketing, so building relationships over time using email. And one of the people on my courses is Emma. I just want to tell you a bit about her, just to demonstrate how quickly and simply you can improve your marketing. So she's a freelance marketer, but she's not a copywriter, so she's got probably a slightly different skill set to me. She gets really good results for her clients putting marketing strategies in place for small businesses, but she was embarrassed that she wasn't doing her own email marketing. She wasn't doing some of the stuff that she preached to her clients. Like a lot of us, time was one of the main issues for her, so she juggles a lot. She's fitting it all around her 2 daughters. So I worked with Emma for a month, and the goal was to get her sending out engagement emails. So these are emails where you're not necessarily selling, you're not doing a hard sell, but you're sending out useful information, stuff that can help your potential clients, and demonstrate to them how you could help them, but by giving them stuff they can use themselves, stuff they can implement themselves in their business that can help. So the goal was to get going on doing that. So when Emma first came to me, she didn't have a list of people to email. She'd been procrastinating about this for a while. She wasn't really sure what to write about in her emails, and she just really needed a sounding board, someone she could bounce ideas off, to sort of have a bit of a sense check of, should I be sending this out, or is this any good, and just get some reassurance that what she was coming up with was right. So we worked together for 30 days. The first thing we did, we put a list of old clients and contacts together. So we just went through all of her, I think she went through all of her phone contacts, she went through all of her old invoices, and pulled together a list of old clients. And she had a pile of business cards on her desk from some recent networking events, so we put those in the list as well. And we just sent a friendly email out saying, this is what we're going to do. We're about to start emailing you some useful information that should be helpful for you, but if you don't want to hear from us, then please just let us know, and of course you can unsubscribe at any time. So we sent that out, and pretty much everyone stayed on the list. And then we worked on some ideas for email. So we just went through some of the pain points of her customers, things that she does to help her customers, and used that to generate some ideas. And we also brought in things from her daily life. So she's got an allotment and she does quite a lot of baking. So we brought that in and used some kind of metaphors and analogies that just got across a bit of her personality as well. And then I helped her carve out the time for writing emails. One of the main things that most of my clients complain about is they just don't have enough time for marketing. So we selected Monday as marketing day, and she blocked out an hour every Monday to write her emails to make sure it got done. And then we also worked on her writing style. So I think a lot of us go through the education system, and we write essays, and we have quite a formal writing style. Maybe if you write for your job, perhaps if you're in the law, or you write bids, or you're writing reports, you'll have a fairly formal writing style, and it's really important to get a more conversational tone of voice going for these sorts of emails, a more chatty tone, because even if you're in B2B, if you're business to business selling things, you're still talking to a person, you're not talking to a business entity, so you really want a chatty style when you're writing engagement emails. So Emma got some really good results. Her open rates were really high, 42% to 71%, which is pretty unusual. I think because she knew everyone on her list personally, that's why she got such great open rates. Probably a more normal open rate would be 15 to 20% would be a good open rate generally. She's now really easily able to generate content ideas. What she found happened was once she'd written a few emails, then she'd start seeing stuff all the time when she was working with clients that she could write about, sort of mini case studies and things, little anecdotes she could talk about from the work she was doing. And she got a lot more confident at writing in a conversational style. And she also started getting inquiries. So within a month of working with her, she was getting inquiries from people who wanted to work with her. So it can work really quickly if you're doing the consistent action that you need to do week in, week out. It doesn't always work that quickly. Sometimes it can be a slow burner, but it's building relationships and helping you stay in touch with people. Another example, Jeremy runs a telecoms company, and he's really good at what he does, and he writes really well, but he's like a lot of us who run a business, he's got a small team, and he's pulled all over the place. He hasn't got a lot of time. So I did the same thing. I worked with him for a month to get him sending out regular emails, and also worked on know, like, and trust sequences for him as well, which I'll go into a bit in a moment. I've just put Jeremy's testimonial up here. I'm not going to read it out, but essentially the main thing to highlight in that was that he would always find other more important things to do than getting on with his emails before he'd worked with me. And I think that's really key, because I think we all do that. We're always busy. There's always more important things to do, but the most important thing is generating more work for your business, bringing in more customers, more clients. That should always be the most important thing. I'd almost say if you are going to be changing how you work and taking daily actions, make it the first thing you do when you get into work before you do anything else, because it is that important. The other thing that I worked on with Jeremy was know, like, and trust sequences. So this is an email sequence where you basically introduce your business to someone who's a new contact. So it could be someone that you've met networking. It could be someone who's downloaded something from your website and left their email address. And it's just a short sequence of emails that just introduces you, demonstrates how you help your customers, maybe a little bit about yourself personally, just so they can get to know you a bit, and maybe a testimonial that just gives that trust element. And then once they've been introduced to your business in that way, you can then send them some regular engagement emails. And I've just got one more quick example actually from someone else I've worked with, Mel. So she did this. She put in place what she calls it a welcome sequence in this note she sent me, but she put together a know, like, and trust sequence. And it really, really quickly generated some work for her. So Mel's a nutritionist, and she put in place this sequence of emails that goes out to everyone that she meets, and asks them if they want to book a call. And it's worked already. She's had people booking onto calls, and someone has now bought a place on her course. So it really does work, and it can work quite quickly. Just to emphasise the importance of this, this is just a quote from State of the Business Owner, an online survey. Business owners who spend at least 40% of their time on marketing and sales grow their revenue 60% faster than those who do not. So, if you're in business on your own, there's just you in the business, 40% of your time, that's 2 days a week, which might sound ridiculous, but obviously you have to balance it out. If you don't want to be generating more work than you can handle, so it has to be done in a sustainable way. But that is a sensible amount of time, 2 days a week, to spend on marketing. If you've got people in your team, then it's going to be much easier for you to do that. But I would say as a minimum, you want to be spending a day a week. And if you ration that out over the week, it's maybe an hour and a half a day. So just at the start of your day when you get into work. Just an example of how you could distribute your marketing throughout the week. Maybe on a Monday you could write an engagement email and send it out to your list. On Tuesday, you might just tweak that email a bit, add it to your blog on your website, share it on Facebook and LinkedIn. And while you're on LinkedIn, you maybe go and comment and like some posts from people that you'd like to work with, because that's a good way of getting more interaction on your own posts. Wednesday, you might shoot a video, something to share on social media. It doesn't have to be something with really high production values. It could be something just shot on your iPhone. You probably need to use a decent microphone plugged into it, but shoot something that shares useful content, something that will benefit your audience, and get it out, because everyone's consuming videos, and if you're not doing it, you're missing out. It's a really good way to connect with people, because they get to hear your voice and see your face and really get to know you. Thursday, you might make 5 phone calls to former clients or network contacts. Making phone calls daily, actually, I find works really well for me, but it could be something that you have as a 1 day a week thing. It depends how you work best. So you might phone some people you've worked with in the past, you might phone some people you've met networking, and then on Friday, maybe work on things for other people. Who can you connect that that could help each other or benefit from working with each other, because what goes around comes around, and it's always a good idea to give something back. And then this is just an example. This is just ideas of a place to start with trying stuff in your marketing. Marketing is all about testing. So test things, see what works for you. Give it time. Give it a couple of months, 3 months, to see if it's going to have an impact, because it's like I said at the start. You can't just send a couple of emails out and expect it to work. So test what you're doing, see what works, and if it does work, keep doing it. That's the biggest thing. What a lot of people do is they'll run a marketing campaign, and it'll work really well, and then they never run it again, and you think, come on, that worked, that brought work into your business, that brought you new customers. So keep doing it, be consistent, and then that's just a way to step off the roller coaster. So instead of going up and down and finding it really stressful, you can actually have a business that grows steadily year after year like a tree. So it's going to be much less stressful if you're able to achieve that by taking those daily actions. I've just got a book recommendation for you. This is some of what I've said today. I've taken from this book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It's not a difficult read. It's quite a simple book, really, and there's probably not a lot in there that you don't already know. But it's just the way it's presented comes across very powerfully. So it's all about taking those daily actions, whether it's in your business or whether it's making time to spend time with your family, or making healthy choices, or the way you spend your money. All of the daily choices you make and how they build up and give you the slight edge in life, enabling you to be more successful and more happy in life. And it also shares Jeff's story, the author's story, who at one point in his life, he's a college dropout. He describes himself as a beach bum. He's mowing lawns to make money, and not achieving much with his life. And then he turns that all around. He sets up a business, and that's massively successful. But then it does ultimately fail due to a change in the law. And then he builds up another business. So it's quite a powerful story, and it really demonstrates that benefit of taking consistent action every day in your business. I'm going to finish up here. If you want to know any more about building relationships through email, or if you want email templates, I've got some templates that you can use to set up a know, like, and trust sequence or a welcome sequence. So just let me know if you'd like any of those. Just drop me an email and I can send them over to you. And thanks very much for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Liz. We've got a couple of questions for you. The first one is from Laura, and she asks, I'm a solicitor, is email marketing right for me?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is. I know of a solicitor in Birmingham, actually, who is sending out regular emails and talking about the work he's done with clients, obviously keeping confidentiality, but talking about the benefits of some of the work that he's done. And he also has a dog that he takes into work with him, and he quite often talks about the dog in his emails, and that gets a really good response. It gets replies and people get engaged with it, and it's a really effective way for him to communicate with his audience. So I think there might be a bit of a myth that law is too serious to be sending out engagement emails, but it's not true at all. You definitely can benefit from it.
Okay, thank you. Your next question from Simon. How often should I send emails?
I would always say start with what you feel comfortable with. I know there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I can't be emailing people every week. It's too much. It's they'll be bombarded." For me, I think weekly is ideal. But if you're not comfortable with that, start with where you're comfortable. So it might be fortnightly, it might be monthly. Any less than monthly, I'd say probably don't bother, to be honest. Your ideal is weekly, but start with where you're comfortable. And what will happen is, as you're getting better engagement, you're getting people replying to your emails and giving you feedback and saying they're enjoying them, that will spur you on to send them out more often.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Kevin, and he asks, how can we avoid emails going into spam folders?
Wow, I could probably do a whole webinar on that. There's lots of different things you can do, but inevitably delivery rates are going down. Let me think whether there's one particular tip I can give that would be helpful. There is, in fact, something you can run it through. You can send an email to on the web. I will find out the name of it and follow up with you. But there's you can actually send a test email before you send it out to this website, and it will tell you the spam rating of it. So that might be a good starting point. So if when I get the email addresses of everyone listening, I'll send that out to you.
Okay, thank you. Question from Paul. How do you think the upcoming GDPR regulations will affect holding data for email marketing? Example, holding a list of old clients and contacts.
Yeah, it's going to have an impact, definitely. It's so complicated. There's lots of different elements to it. Essentially, people now have a right to be forgotten by you, so they don't necessarily want to stay on your list indefinitely. I think there's lots of elements to it. I'm not a lawyer at all, so I can't give any legal advice about it, but I would say what will happen is we will have to be asking people, do you still want to be on my list, on a fairly regular basis? But I think we're all kind of watching to see what happens. It's definitely going to be really important not to spam people, not to be contacting people that don't want to be contacted.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Susan. I do a lot of networking, but I don't always have time to follow up with people. What's more important, emailing them or phone calls?
Okay, with that one, I would say go back to what I said earlier about doing what works in your business. So if you know that it works really well to follow up with a phone call after a networking event, then go for that. I would say if I've met someone networking and I can see that they're likely to be a useful contact or a potential client, maybe they'd be a good referral partner, that sort of thing, then I would usually follow up with a phone call and arrange a meeting with them. If it's a tentative connection, you're not sure whether that person could ultimately become a client or be a good connection for you, then send them a friendly email introducing yourself, your business, the welcome sequence that we talked about, and put them on your list, obviously with their permission, and follow up that way, rather than wasting time on a phone call, because we're all very busy.
Okay. I think those are all your questions.
Okay, brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you again, Liz, for hosting today's webinar. I will send out a copy of the presentation and Liz's contact details out to you all very shortly. So please do email direct if you have any further questions. Before we close, just a quick reminder that this webinar is part of our service to our Smart Room members. If you're not already a member or a BizSmart client and would like to access our archive of webinars, then please visit our website, biz-smart.co.uk, and go to the Smart Room page. That's the end of today's BizSmart webinar. Thank you all for listening, and we hope you can join us again very soon.